How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Unit Guide Part 6. This video is going to be done a little bit differently. I don't have a script. I have kind of bare minimum notes over here because I felt like I already know the information. We've been doing this long enough. I feel like you guys know the information, so going to keep this a bit more of a low stakes situation. Going to throw some gameplay on the screen. You guys can listen in the background and yeah. Because there's only 5 units, 2 of them are built the same, one of them's really simple, so I felt like, why make a script? This should go down fairly quickly, fairly easily, so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Hopefully you guys like it, and yeah, let's just get right into it. Before I get started with the 5 units we're gonna talk about, there are 3 other units I want to talk about just real quick because I have some updates for them. So first, Morgan. In the last unit guide, I mentioned that your Robin could marry Na to get a really tanky dragon Morgan, and I never really elaborated with that, so I should do that real quick. So for a Na Morgan build, final class gonna be Manakete, of course, for her skills, LB, Altu, Luna or Ignis, depending on what you want, Vantage or Pavice, depending on what you want, and Gale Force. So the Vantage or Pavice is there just for survivability. Pavice has a skill % chance to cut damage in half, so, you know, there's going to be Wyram Slayers, want to protect her from those, or you could do Vantage. If her health dips below 50%, she will attack first no matter what. So those are 2 just defensive options to keep her alive a little bit longer. And Luna/Ignis, offensive skill, makes her even more tanky. Gale Force is there just because Gale Force is awesome, so yeah. Another build I had in mind was making her more of an item backpack. You could replace the Vantage or Pavice with Arms Thrift, and that lets her weapon durability not go down as long as she has more than 50 luck. So you could just give her 1 Dragonstone plus, and then that will leave 4 other item slots to just carry around swords or axes or recovery items or stabs, and she can kind of just be a backpack for any other units. So if one of your units' physics break, you can just have Morgan walk on over to them and then hand over another staff if that's what they need. So I don't think a lot of people will be doing this build, but it definitely is an option, and it doesn't even hurt her combat all that much because she'll still have Gale Force, she'll still have Luna, she'll still have insanely good skills. So yeah, it definitely is an option if that's what you want. Next, I want to update Severa. In the last video, I said you should make Severa a sorcerer, and that's because I was kind of trying to put a square peg in a circle hole and make her a build that she isn't exactly made for. Sorcerers are really good when they have Arms Thrift, because Dark Magic, not only doesn't have great durability, it also doesn't have the greatest hit rate. So if, make sure it never breaks, that's amazing. Then, if it never breaks, spend a little gold, get those hit rates forged, makes it even better. So she had access to Arms Thrift, she had access to Sorcerer, she has access to Gale Force and Luna, so I was like, the build absolutely works, but Severa isn't exactly made for that, because for her, I made her father stall, so not only she has a -1 in magic, she also has strength that's going to waste in Sorcerer, so yeah. I would overall say make her a hero, that way her strength mods are actually going to something and she can still make good use out of Arms Thrift, of course, but yeah. I was kind of trying to force her into a build she wasn't made for, so just thought I'd update that. You know, if you truly wanted the Sorcerer route, absolutely still does work, but like I said 100 times, not exactly built for it, so yeah. And the last thing I want to mention is the Maribel build. I saw a while ago, I saw a comment saying that I forgot Maribel, and I think I did, so we're just going to go over her real quick. She's the exact same as Lissa. So for her final class, going to be a Sage. Her skills are going to be LB, Altu, Miracle, Renewal, and Gale Force. And for her items, Bolganon, Thoron, Elixir, Recover, and Physic. Should be a really good staffer, a really good healer if that's what you need, and yeah, not much else to say, so let's get moving to our main 5 units now. So, the units we're going to be talking about today are Yarny, Owain, Jerome, Brady, and Kajeli. Like I said, 2 of those are the same, 1 of them's really simple, so shouldn't be anything too crazy. To get started, let's start off with Yarny. For his father, I did Lunku because he passes down some great speed stats and some good classes that Yarny does appreciate. So Yarny should have plus 7 skill, it's not 7 skill, plus 7 speed and plus 6 skill. So he'll dodge a lot, he should hit more, and have a decent crit rate. So Yarny really appreciates that, especially considering he gets even more skill and speed buffs just from the Beast Stone Plus. So yeah, this guy's going to be really fast. For his final class, of course, you're going to do Togwell. For his skills, I did LB, Altu, Beastbane, Vantage, and Astra. Vantage is there because he has a beast weakness, and on the rare occurrence someone brings a Beast Killer Lance, hopefully he'll have enough survivability to outlive them. If his HP dips below 50%, he can attack first, hopefully proc Astra, and stay alive. So, yeah. For his weapons, of course, you're just going to do 4 Beast Stone Pluses and 1 Elixir. And I keep an Elixir on all of my units just in case a healer isn't around. An Elixir heals all HP, so it's a guaranteed full HP bar. So yeah, definitely really useful to carry one of those around whenever you can. So yeah, he does have access to some other skills you could use, like Avoid plus 10 or Lethality, but I don't really use those. The Vantage and the Astra feel way more enticing. Same thing with Beastbane, because Cavaliers, Troubadours, Valkyries, those show up everywhere. There's plenty of enemies that have the beast weakness, so it's just really useful to have. Honestly, it's always useful to have a Togwell on hand, just in case you encounter any Cavaliers, so yeah. Moving on, we have, who do we have? Owain. So for Owain, I had Rickon as his father. Rickon has amazing magic and passes down Luna access, because for whatever reason, Rickon has access to the Knight class line, which lets him promote into Great Knight and General. So yeah, Owain has access to Luna, so that puts him in the offensive sage category. I have 2 categories I put sages. There's the offensive sage and the supportive sage. The more supportive sages don't have much offensive capabilities, whether it be lower stats, not great skills, things like that. So a supportive sage would be kind of like Lissa. Her deal is more just supporting and healing and staying alive. That's why she has Miracle and Renewal. And an offensive sage would be Owain, or I'll talk about this later, Brady, because they have Gale Force, they have Luna, they have Life Taker. They're meant to be offensive. Sage has really good magic, so yeah, that's what I went with. And I talked about this already. For his skills, LB, Altu, Gale Force, Luna, and Life Taker. They're meant to be in the front lines, dealing damage. And since Sage has lower defense, I gave him Life Taker just so he can kill something, regain a bunch of health, and he should be able to stay alive for a decent amount of time. So yeah. For his weapon layout, I gave him Thoron, Bolganon, Rexcalibur, Elixir, and Physic. Sages do have access to staves, and I feel like it would be a waste not to have a staff on a unit who can have one. Owain's probably not going to be healing all the time, but just having that option is always good. It buffs his utility and usefulness, so it's always nice to have. Next, we'll move on to Brady, because he's the exact same. His father, I went with Henry. Sadly, Henry does pass on +1 strength that Brady's not really going to get all that much use out of, but he also has +1 magic, so, overall Brady is more built for magic because Maribel, his mom, has +2 magic, so he's more built for magic, but he has just a tiny bit of strength that goes to waste, but it's fine. He's more built for magic anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And his build and items, The exact same as Owain. LB, Altu, Luna, Life Taker, Gale Force for his items, Thoron, Bolganon, Excalibur, Elixir, and Physic. So yeah, that's what's going on for Brady. Brady does have access to some other good skills. He can get, Rally Strength and Counter because Henry passes down the Warrior class. But, Brady more built for magic. So probably not going to keep him there, but if you wanted some of those skills, it is an option. So you can keep that in mind if you really wanted to. You could probably make a funny build with Brady because he gets some wacky classes. Like natively all the time, he'll always have Cavalier access. So you can easily go into Great Knight, get him Luna, and then go back into like War Monk or something and make something really funny. So yeah, that's an option for Brady. Not what I would recommend if you're attempting Apotheosis, which is what some of these builds are made for, but if you're just doing a casual playthrough, heck yeah, go for it. We love the silly stuff. Now for Jerome. Jerome is what I like to call the Donnell hero archetype. He mostly just fills all of his skills with the mercenary and hero skills because sadly he doesn't have all that much going on. I made Gregor his father, so he does have access to Myrmidon, which he really appreciates. So for his skills, I went with LB, Altu, Vantage, Soul, and Counter. Jerome is mostly made to just be durable. Vantage, if he has low health, he can attack first. Soul, he can recover any lost health. Counter, he can reflect any damage that's being done to him. He's really just made to last. And that can be good if you're trying out some like grindy maps or some maps that are really abusing you because, he's meant to be durable. He's meant to kind of be a meat shield, like a damage sponge a little bit. So he may not have as much damage output as other people, but he can soak up a ton of damage because that's just what his skills are made for. So yeah, that's an option for him. And for his items, I gave him the, the Brave Axe, Ragnell, the Critical Sword, Killing Edge, and the Hammer. Sorry, it's like 8 in the morning. I've been awake for like an hour. It's hard to have all the awakening stuff on my brain, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so Brave Axe, Ragnell, Killing Edge, and Hammer. And I don't think I've ever brought this up, but when it comes to weapons, I'd like to fill gimmicks, right? So for a brave weapon, they can attack multiple times. They can attack up to 4 times if you have enough speed. Lets you have more opportunities to crit, more opportunities to proc offensive skills, and just deal more damage overall. So that's why I like to have the brave weapons. Ragnell, that's a 2-range weapon. So if there's any 2-range enemies that are harassing your units, you just bust out Ragnell, attack at 2 range, should be good there. I also like to have the killing weapons just for extra crit chance. So if you're in a situation where maybe your damage on its own won't kill, bust out a killing weapon, hopefully get a crit, maybe pair that with a proc skill like Luna or Astra, deal some extra damage. So that's there for that. And then the hammer, I like to have effective weapons. So, like Armor Slayer, Beast Killer, Wyram Slayers, just so if they're also being harassed by like an armored enemy or a mounted enemy, they can just pull out an effective weapon and deal with them there. So that just kind of covers a couple different categories and spaces of utility. I've only ever talked about that once, and it wasn't even on a unit guide, so I figured I might as well mention it now. Better late than never, so yeah. Sorry it took me so long to do that, but yeah. And for the last unit, yeah, because we did Yarny, did Owain, did Jerome, did Brady. Lastly, we have Kajeli. For Kajeli, I made her father Gaius. He passes down some good speed and has Gale Force access, which, of course, Kajeli appreciates. Any unit with Gale Force, we love. So, for her final class, I went with Paladin. For her items, I gave her Brave Sword, Beast Killer, Killing Edge, and Spear. already gave the rundown on why those weapons exist for Jerome, so I'm not going to do that there. The spear is a 1 to 2 range weapon. I think you have to get that from one of the Eninjar. I don't know how you pronounce that word. Elinjar from the shop. So you just have to summon them, and then you can shop items, and that's how you get spear. I don't think you can get it from the regular shops, but I could be wrong about that. For her skills, I went with LB, Alt 2, Vantage, Gale Force, and Luna. Gives her just really... She performs really well. She has a total of 55 strength and 57 speed when you account for, of course, the all stats plus 2. And then if you do a pair up, that's even more stats. So yeah, Gajeli is really good. She has a really good damage output. She has 57 skill, so that means Luna is going to be proccing over half the time, 57% of the time. So yeah, really good damage output, really good class, really good skills. Vantage is there for survivability, of course. You know, she has a beast weakness, so if anyone comes at her with a beast killer, she might get hurt there. But yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much everyone. I don't really have anything else. There is a completely different set of second gens I can do. If you marry Chrom as a female Robin, of course, as male Robin, of course you can marry some of the first gens and that shuffles stuff up a bit. But yeah, I have considered doing like the Chrom marriage, and that shuffles up all the second gens even more. But yeah, if you guys are interested in that, I'll tackle those second gens as well. But yeah, I figured I'd just stick with what I called last video the male second gen, just because that's what I did. That's what gets you the best stats, the best skills. So yeah, that's been the unit guides. We're basically done. You could do some of the, like I said, the Eninjar units from the DLC, but those are kind of just like Robin. They have access to basically every class, so you could just make infinite more Robins. But yeah, I just stuck with the main units because, you know, why not? But yeah, that's been the unit guides. I hope you enjoyed those. I enjoyed making them because I love Fire Emblem Awakening. I love talking about builds and Awakening. I know you guys have been enjoying them. You guys have told me that you've been using them for the campaign and for Apotheosis and DLC and other stuff. So I'm glad that you guys have been liking the unit guides and have been getting some use out of them. I think that's really awesome. But yeah, that's been the unit guides. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. I hope you all are having a wonderful rest of your day. I love you, and I will see you all later.